Coming up on today's episode of Airborne Unlimited, the Coast Guard rescues a Cirrus pilot at sea, a quadcopter lands on the White House lawn, and the Two Eagles balloon is headed across the Pacific. Welcome to Airborne Unlimited. I'm Ashley Hale. Cirrus aircraft founder Alan Kloppmeyer, who insisted that every Cirrus SR20 and SR22 be equipped with a BRS chute, has been vindicated in his visionary decision-making once again. The pilot of a single-engine Cirrus SR22 aircraft that was being ferried across the Pacific Ocean reportedly ran into fuel transfer problems short of the Hawaiian Islands on Sunday. He realized he was going to come up short and notified the Coast Guard. Subsequently, the pilot ultimately ran out of fuel some 250 miles northeast of Maui, Hawaii, and deployed the BRS-designed parachute recovery system to ditch the aircraft. At approximately 4:44 p.m., after deploying the chute and impacting the ocean safely, the pilot exited the aircraft into a life raft while the Cirrus quickly sunk out of sight. A nearby ocean liner met up with the pilot's life raft and effected a recovery shortly thereafter, where no doubt the pilot probably became quite an attraction aboard ship. In the process of supervising the ditching, the Coast Guard captured some spectacular video, some of the best we've seen of the increasingly familiar imagery associated with a BRS-assisted airframe recovery of a stricken Cirrus. It was the second USCG-assisted rescue of the weekend, with the Coast Guard effecting a helicopter rescue at sea after 4 people went down in the ocean following a power failure of a single-engine Cessna. All 4 were brought home safely. All just part of a busy weekend for the U.S. Coast Guard. Bradley and Leonid Tiukhtyaev departed Japan for the United States in a gas-filled balloon named the Two Eagles on Saturday, January 24th. Their plan is to cross the Pacific to the west coast of the North American continent, but where they will reach North America depends on the winds aloft. They're attempting to set a new distance record for a gas-filled balloon, but depending upon conditions, they may also set an endurance record. They're flying in an unpressurized capsule that is 7 feet long, 5 feet high, and 5 feet wide. The latest report is that they've been averaging more than 50 miles per hour and have covered nearly 1,700 miles at an altitude of about 17,500 feet. They're past the 1/4 mark in their quest to beat the distance record for gas balloons at 5,208 miles. After the break, a quadcopter lands on the White House lawn.
The KSN 770 is an affordable, WAS-enabled integrated MFD with a flexible hybrid user interface from Bendix King. Get your fingers on the 770's perfect blend of touchscreen and hard buttons. Easily control your GPS navigation, Navcom, weather, traffic, and terrain in any condition. For more information, go to bendixking.com.
There's a difference between charting a steady course and pushing for the ceiling. And for nearly a century, Hartzell Propeller has been defining that difference. It's in our passion for engineering and research and our dedication to testing the limits of performance. We are built on honor. We are Hartzell Propeller.
Welcome back. If you'd like to be a supporter of Airborne Unlimited, send an email to jim@aero-news.net. When first reports emerged yesterday that a small quadcopter-type drone vehicle had landed on the White House lawn, it was enough to make anyone gasp. While the FAA has been slow in coming up with specific regulations governing small personal drone operation, it should be obvious to everyone that flying a drone anywhere in the prohibited area around the White House is just asking for trouble. Now, the New York Times has reported that the drone was being flown by a federal employee. According to the report, this individual was flying the drone in the early morning when control was lost and the drone went down on the White House lawn. It appears from reports that the Secret Service was aware that the drone had landed on White House property. So far, there are no reports that it was a nefarious occurrence. While the FAA has come out with guidance regarding small drone activity, it would seem readily apparent that whoever was responsible for this exercised a serious lack of common sense. Every Tuesday, we're going to look ahead at some of the most interesting events in the aviation universe. Here's this week's Aero-Calendar. The NBAA hopes to help business aircraft operations with their 2015 Schedulers and Dispatchers Conference being held February 3rd through the 6th at the San Jose McHenry Convention Center. This event is planned for anyone with responsibility for scheduling and dispatching business aircraft. One way to find out if you've got the right stuff to build an airplane is to attend an EAA Sport Air Workshop. February 7th and 8th marks the days for a workshop on composite aircraft construction being held in Chesapeake, Virginia. It's a good way to find out if composites are your cup of tea. Recreational balloon flying is a worldwide endeavor. The 19th Philippine International Hot Air Balloon Fiesta is scheduled for February 12th through the 15th. It's being held at the Clark Freeport Zone, about 25 miles north of Manila. February 28th marks the grand opening celebration for Whip Air's Service Center in Leesburg, Florida. They'll serve a continental breakfast and have door prizes galore. It makes the perfect destination to fly, and you may end up coming home with some booty. After these messages, Hartzell partners with Red Bull Air Racers.
AML's patent-pending wireless induction charging system eliminates confusion over those charging cables, cuts down cockpit cable clutter, and allows you and your passengers to fly cordless and eliminate the cable nightmare. www.aviationmodificationleaders.com.
Since the early days of powered flight, pilots have struggled with landing in crosswinds. In fact, crosswinds and wind gusts cause more landing accidents than fog, thunderstorms, and icing combined. That's where the Redbird X-Wind SE comes in. By placing pilots in gusty crosswind conditions for extended periods of time, the X-Wind SE gives instructors all the time they need to teach the pilot the proper techniques for landing in crosswind conditions. For more information on Redbird X-Wind SE and Redbird's entire line of flight training devices, visit www.redbirdflightsimulation.com.
Sandia introduces the new SAI 340 Quattro standby instrument. TSO'd airspeed, attitude, altitude, and slip. With integral backup battery, safety never looked so good. See it now at www.sandia.aero.
Welcome back. With so much news coming out of the aviation industry, we're summarizing some other interesting stories in a brief segment we call Around the Patch. The Red Bull Racers will zigzag through the pylons with Hartzell propellers. Hartzell will again provide its three-blade structural composite propeller, known as the Claw, carbon fiber composite spinners, and lightweight governors to each race team in 2015. British soprano Sarah Brightman has begun training for her 10-day, $52 million trip to the International Space Station. It's reported she will sing on board the station to the accompaniment of an orchestra on Earth. This will be an out-of-this-world performance. The Commemorative Air Force is making a fundraising appeal to keep their aircraft flying. The CAF is the only group who is restoring, maintaining, and flying our precious World War II warbirds. They're proud to be a flying museum. Canadian Sandra Rolfe, described as the extreme balloonist, set a new female endurance record in her ANX-04 hot air balloon. She flew for 7 hours and 25 minutes and will hold the new record when her flight is ratified by the FAI. Well, that's it for today's trip around the patch. Let's move on to the rest of the news. A coalition of 14 general aviation advocacy groups has sent a letter to the FAA calling on the agency to work even more closely with the industry as the January 1st, 2020 deadline for equipping with ADS-B out approaches. Cost and available options remain significant stumbling blocks for owners and operators. Meeting the minimum standard using current available equipment will cost an aircraft owner approximately $4,000 in equipment and $1,000 in labor per aircraft. Installing the equipment necessary to take full advantage of the system will cost thousands more. The letter stated that it is imperative that the FAA's Technical Standards Office makes working with equipment manufacturers and aviation organizations its highest priority in order to meet this mandate on general aviation. The letter notes that owners of aircraft that do not have standard airworthiness certificates face an especially confusing situation in determining how to comply with the mandate. Well, that's our program for Tuesday, January 27th. Remember to get comprehensive, real-time, 24/7 coverage of the latest aviation and aerospace stories anytime at aero-news.net. Join us every weekday for a new episode of Airborne Unlimited for the best in aviation and aerospace news. I'm Ashley Hale. Thanks for watching.